and welcome back to ArcGIS News. I'm Peter Klingman. I'm here today with a special report about the December 2020 ArcGIS Online update. Over the past week, I traded in my news anchor suit for a field reporter hat to interview several of my colleagues involved in the update. I recorded the conversations and wanted to share the highlights with you in a three-part video series. Part 1 covers upcoming HTTPS enforcement. Part 2 covers the end of support in ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise for IE11. And Part 3, member profile gallery improvements. In Part 1, I talk with Randall Williams on our software security and privacy team about the upcoming HTTPS enforcement in ArcGIS Online. I hope you enjoy. So we're talking about HTTPS enforcement in ArcGIS Online. So I guess first, I was hoping to take a step back. What is HTTPS and why is it important?
Sure, that's a good question. So HTTPS helps to make sure that information sent between a client's computer and a remote server is protected in transit. What that means is that a connection is made between your browser or whatever client it is that you're using, and in this case, ArcGIS Online, and that information is sent inside of an encrypted tunnel. So it's encapsulated inside that tunnel and is sent from point A to point B. And what that enables you to have is a sense of privacy, because someone can't snoop inside of that tunnel unless you explicitly allow them to by agreeing to certificate verification warnings there. And it also helps to ensure that the resource that you're connecting to remotely is who they say they are. And that's this concept of non-repudiation, which basically means that the person who I add, or the group that I advertise myself to be, is indeed the group that I intend to be connecting to.
Okay, awesome. So with HTTPS as a concept in mind and understanding why it's important, what specifically are the changes that the ArcGIS platform is making regarding HTTPS?
That's another good question. So when this change is made on December 8th, first off, HTTPS will be enforced across all ArcGIS Online organizations, whether organization administrators have chosen that option to or not. So we're just going to flip the switch and require all communication to occur via ArcGIS Online. For users who have already set their organizations to require HTTPS, no additional changes are needed to be made. This issue shouldn't impact you at all. The next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to enforce what's called HSTS, and HSTS stands for HTTP Strict Transport Security. And that's a client-side protection. Basically, it works on the server end of things, and it ensures that your browser only attempts to use HTTPS to connect to ArcGIS Online resources. It won't use plain text HTTP. And that helps to address issues referred to as an SSL downgrade attack, where if you first make a connection via HTTP and then that connection is upgraded to HTTPS, during that split second in between when that redirect happens, you could potentially be vulnerable, and a third party could potentially intercept those requests. So HSTS is an important advancement for us to implement there. The next thing that we'll be doing is, in addition to that, is that we'll be setting what's called a CSP, or a content security policy. And that content security policy is going to be set to upgrade insecure requests. This CSP is a directive that will tell all of our clients to treat all of a site's insecure URLs, that is URLs that are sent over HTTP, like they've been replaced with secure HTTPS URLs. So the directive really is intended for websites with a lot of insecure legacy URLs that are moving from plain text HTTP to HTTPS, to make sure that embedded resources like documents and images and things like that don't necessarily need to be rewritten. The CSP will take care of that for you and force those resources to be accessed over HTTPS. It's important that while the CSP will work with embedded resources like images and documents and things like that, they won't necessarily work with direct hyperlinks, especially to direct hyperlinks that go to locations that aren't hosted on ArcGIS Online.
Now that we have an understanding of the changes that the platform is making regarding HTTPS, let's say I do have an organization that still allows HTTP. How exactly will this affect me, and what can I do to prepare?
Well, it sort of depends. If your resources that you use in your organization are all hosted on ArcGIS Online, the impact to you might be minimum because all of those resources are already provided by both HTTP and HTTPS. And so when this upgrade happens, and especially because of our the CSP that we'll put out, some of those organizations may not be impacted. Other organizations that leverage other third-party servers in their configuration, and if those servers themselves don't already support HTTPS, may encounter issues displaying that information. I would watch out, especially for older OGC servers or older servers served from organizations like potentially colleges and universities where they may not have invested in HTTPS for some of these resources that have been lingering around for a while. Customers may need to validate with those resources whether or not they actually support HTTPS themselves, because if the resource on the other end of the line doesn't itself support HTTPS, and you go to upgrade your requests to attempt to use HTTPS, then that could potentially cause a problem. I don't expect for there to be issues with anything that opens in a separate browser session or in a separate browser tab, like maybe images served up in pop-ups and things like that. And those should probably be okay because those launch under a separate browser session. So that wouldn't necessarily be governed by their connection to ArcGIS Online per se. In terms of helping to prepare, if I was one of those customers and I wanted to learn about how this might impact me, the first thing that I would do would be to go out to the ArcGIS Trust Center, and that's at https://trust.arcgis.com, and click on the Documents tab. And inside that tab, you'll see a 30-minute presentation, and it's called Preparing for ArcGIS Online HTTPS Transition Presentation. Have a look at that, and you'll get a firm understanding of what this change means, and how to move forward. The next thing that I would consider doing if I was one of these organizations would be to schedule a time when you can test by simply flipping the switch in your organization's security settings to require HTTPS, and then have your users individually test the items that they own, so it's not overwhelming for an individual administrator to have to take on the onus of validating those individual items themselves. This action can always be undone if you encounter any sort of breaking changes. And finally, just as a logistical note, there's a new option in ArcGIS Online. It's an information banner that ArcGIS Online administrators can set for their organizations. I personally would inform my users by using one of those information banners that you're scheduling an HTTPS switchover change, and that they should use that time during which you're making this test to validate their items, and it will announce to your users, A, you're doing some testing that may impact their performance and the availability of some of the items, and B, just kind of give them a general time frame of when this testing will occur. Because if you're like me, your inbox is full of all sorts of stuff, and you may not catch an email if an email comes in your direction there. So using that informational banner is a good way to communicate to your users that you're going to be making this change in order to prepare for this transition.
Well, that's it for my conversation with Randall. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out parts 2 and 3 of the interview series. Links are in the video description below.